Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. We have another huge docket for you today. First, Josh Duggar rhymes with hugger. Well, some of those recordings have been released, and we've got them for you. Next, we have some video of complete lawlessness in New York. Shocking. And even hospitals aren't safe in New York, apparently. Got a little more food-related crime for you. Some homicide stats that ought to make you think, something's not right. Wait until you hear what this guy did to his mother, and then our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Crime Talk. My name is Scott Reich. It is Wednesday, January 26, 2022. I hope your day is going well. I had a little bit of a bizarre morning, but we just did a video about that, so make sure you check that out. Okay, we have a big docket for you today, but before we get started, take a look at this video, all right? Look at this officer hand delivering the Grubhub food because the Grubhub driver got arrested. I know things are tough out there for cops these days, but look, they care. A little bit of good news before we get started. And before we get to the docket, let's talk about today's sponsor of the show. It's Crime Talk Prep. Now, some people say, Scott, why are you advertising this stuff? Hey, listen, if you don't want to buy it, you don't have to. But if you want to make sure that you are able to take care of your family in a time of emergency, now is the time to do it. So go to crimetalkprep.com, and when you order, you will get $50 off your next order. This is something that you need. We have all seen it, and everybody laughed at me and said, oh my gosh, Scott, there's no shortages in America. That stuff doesn't happen. I think we've all been to the grocery store. We've been to Costco. We've seen the shelves. Supply chain issues, ladies and gentlemen. You have to be able to take care of yourself. You never know when that emergency is going to happen, whether it's a blizzard, whether it's a tornado, I don't know, a volcano blowing up in the middle of the ocean, for God's sakes. Who knows what the hell is going to happen next? The way things have gone the last couple of years, you just don't know. Be prepared. Go to crimetalkprep.com. All right, let's get to the docket. First, Josh Duggar. That's right, the man's name that rhymes with hugger, the one that is in custody after his conviction and is awaiting sentencing for possession of, you know what? That's right, we hold up the sign for those listening at home. The first word begins with C, the second word begins with P. That's right. We're not going to say it because YouTube hates the truth. Anyway, there's been some audio recordings released of the Josh Duggar interview from 2019. Investigators had just uncovered several illicit downloads of holding up the cue card again for those listening at home, and they raided his car dealership. Now, the feds returned to Duggar's car dealership in Springdale, Arkansas to arrest the 19 kids and counting alum on charges of receipt of the possession of, that's right, holding up the cue card. Photos have also been released of Duggar's messy office where he downloaded the disturbing pictures of minors. Other photos show his HP desktop that he used to search the dark web for those inappropriate pictures. And the background of the computer just so happened to be a wholesome picture of the Duggar family, his wife, and their 7 children. Among the evidence found in the FBI raid on the property was a selfie of Duggar that placed him at the scene on the same day a sales receipt for a vehicle was drawn up and saved behind a secret partition of his work computer that contained the illegal materials. The feds tracked the illegally downloaded items to Duggar via his internet provider, and they raided his wholesale motor car business, where agents persuaded Duggar to speak with them voluntarily. Now, before they had told him anything about their investigation, he blurted out, has someone been downloading, those images? At this point, the officers read Duggar his rights and asked him if they could make an audio recording of the interview. The conversation begins with Duggar telling the feds about what he does for work, calmly saying he owns the dealership and he does some real estate as well. They then asked Duggar if he's familiar with peer-to-peer programs such as Tor browser that can be used to anonymously share music, movies, and other files. The software was created as a legitimate tool to protect privacy, but it's also used by criminals and pedophiles to search for outlawed items on the dark web. His response was, I'm familiar, I guess you could say, Duggar replies. Asked about how many of his machines have such software downloaded on them, he responded, well, probably all of them. After a brief explanation of what kind of investigation the agents specialize in, one of the agents says, a lot of times we'll find through internet tips that people have, downloaded inappropriate child photographs and things like that. That is when Duggar begins to stumble over his words and pleads for more clues. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying is going on? He repeats. Is there something going on my device where that's been something accessed or something is downloaded or uploaded or something like that? The rambling goes on for a few minutes, actually. The agents then cuts to it and warns Duggar, that's what you see all these other guys running around doing. They are computer forensic analysts, so even if something's on a computer that someone might have downloaded and then deleted, they're going to be able to find it. The investigator tells Duggar that, quote, these are somebody's little boys and little girls at the end of the day. Our main objective is to find out who's doing it. Then Duggar nervously replies, I appreciate the work you guys do. Agents then respond and gives Duggar the opportunity to come clean about anything that will be found on his computer, warning him once we leave here today, it's the end of our conversation. Duggar chose not to cooperate, further anxiously adding, I've watched my friends, answer things and they get them for conspiracy or something. And I'm not a federal statute and are broad and there's a lot of things and I'm not going to say anything that's going to incriminate me or anything at all. I'm not denying guilt and I'm not saying that, as far as anything goes, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to say that I'm guilty or not. I'm just saying, searching, finding, accessing inappropriate content at some point, right at any point in my life. And of course, we know, even though Mr. Duggar wasn't exactly very articulate in keeping his mouth shut, of course we know that the feds had found what they suspected on his desktop computer. He was obviously found guilty and faces up to 20 years of imprisonment and up to a $250,000 fine on each count. Listen to the audio, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly nobody's condoning what he was convicted of, but it's a good example of why you simply say, lawyer, 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 because, God, that just sounds guilty, doesn't it? All right, next on the docket, some lawlessness in New York. Actor Michael Rapaport filmed a shoplifter in New York City steal 2 bags worth of products and breeze right past the security guard at a Rite Aid. The video doesn't show the shoplifter filling up the bags, but as the man walks out of the store, you can hear the actor describe the incident saying, the suspect was looking me in the face like, what's good? My man just went Christmas shopping in January. He had the condoms, he had the shampoo. Rapaport put the video up on Twitter and tagged the new mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, who's been extremely vocal about his stance on crime in the city. Now, on another note, the mayor wants to put up the video of the multiple slain officers that took place last week. The other officer passed away this morning, and his organs were donated. But apparently the video is rather graphic and shows nothing but an execution. And the mayor wants to have the approval of the family before they release that video. The mayor hopes to show the type of crime that is taking place and hopefully get the citizens of New York behind the New York City Police Department, which they should be. Nobody likes crime, ladies and gentlemen. Really, nobody should like it. Staying in New York for our next story, that's right, it's even dangerous in the hospitals. Take a look at this video. It's rather chaotic, but it shows a man whipping out one of these bad boys. For those of you listening at home, it is a word that rhymes with run, but begins with a G. Shooting a patient at the Jacoby Hospital emergency room in New York City, causing the whole hospital to go on a lockdown. Now, the surveillance footage shows the suspect dressed in all black, pulling his rhymes with run as he runs to the ER desk and aims it at the male victim. The victim scrambles around trying to find cover, and the suspect takes off out the door. Now, law enforcement said the suspect was at the Bronx hospital around 12:30 p.m. looking for a friend who was arrested and possibly being treated there when he got into an argument with the victim in the ER waiting room. The suspect fired at the 35-year-old victim 4 times, hitting him in the forearm. There were a handful of patients sitting in the waiting room when this whole incident went down, but none of them were injured. Kevin Jacobs, a hospital parking manager, called the incident crazy, pointing out this is where people get help. It's the Bronx. That's all I can say. It's crazy. It's crazy. The Bronx, you really can't do anything. This is what happens in the Bronx. What the hell is going on in New York, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know, but I know it goes on everywhere, but not everywhere. Okay? It's just where people think they can get away with it. All right. When you think you've heard the last food-related crime incident, here we go again. A 30-year-old woman was allegedly shot at a McDonald's restaurant this week over an argument about a discount on French fries. Tarika Clay went to a McDonald's drive-thru on January 19th when she and an employee had a disagreement regarding the fries. According to court documents, Clay threatened to shoot the employee, and when the victim left the restaurant for a break, Clay hit the worker with a gun before shooting her. The victim was reportedly released from the hospital after suffering a superficial wound. Clay was arrested and charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Her bond is set at $150,000. Thankfully, Ms. Clay will not be allowed to be within 1,000 feet of the McDonald's for the victim's safety. Fortunately, these people can't fire weapons very well, and they're just grazing people and not actually killing them. All right, to keep the good news flowing, here's some homicide stats. Homicides in American cities ticked up in 2021. I know, we've brought it to you before, with a 5% increase from 2020 and a 44% increase over 2019, according to a new analysis of crime trends by the Council on Criminal Justice. Now, the study drew on crime data from 22 cities nationwide, including Atlanta, Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago, Denver, Memphis, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia, and found an additional 218 murders last year compared to 2020. And while the overall increase in the homicide rate slowed, murder rates in St. Petersburg, Florida, 108%, and Austin, 86%, skyrocketed, with Washington, D.C. at a paltry 16%, also recorded a notable increase. Now, 6 of the 22 cities saw their murder rates drop, however, with sizable dips in Seattle, 25%, and Omaha, 24%. Experts believe pandemic pressures and changes in policing tactics have contributed to the upticks in homicides. Changing in police tactics? Oh, that's right. Not enforcing anything. District attorneys letting people out on bond. Are those the tactics they're thinking of? Although there is currently no nationwide database tracking gun purchases, data from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearm, commonly referred to as ATF, revealed that in 2020, nearly twice as many guns were recovered by police within a year of purchase than in 2019. More than 68,000 guns exhibiting a time to crime of less than 7 months were recovered in 2022. And the ATF's 40,656 criminal investigations in fiscal year 2021, a whopping 37,494 involved firearms. According to the FBI, the murder rate rose nearly 30% nationwide from 2019 to 2020, and the largest year-to-year spike since the federal government began tracking violent crime in the 1960s. Not all crime rose in 2021, however. The report found that drug violations fell by 12% last year, and most property crimes saw a dip as well. However, car thefts have continued to grow amid the pandemic, rising 14% in 2021. But it brings you back to some simple rules, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your hands to yourself, keep your hands off other people's property, and don't harm anybody else. You just simply don't have to do it. And if you get caught, you have to be punished, because if you don't punish somebody, guess what? They will continue to do what you allow or permit them to do. It's simple as that. Keeping with all the good news of today's show, let's go to Philadelphia, where Police say Jacob Murray was arrested Monday in Philadelphia, where he had gone to buy heroin. That's right after killing his mother, 47-year-old Jill Murray, at their home in Shillington, Pennsylvania. Now, investigators allege that Jacob strangled his mother and then, when he realized she wasn't deceased, went to the kitchen, got a kitchen knife, and did terrible things to her throat with that kitchen knife. Well, Jill's autopsy determined that she died from a serious neck wound. I would say so. Investigators found Jacob in Philadelphia, 60 miles away from their home, driving his mother's 2008 Nissan Sentra. He also stole his mother's credit cards, and according to police, Mr. Jacob confessed to the terrible things that he did to his mother. He admitted to strangling her, and then he thought that she wasn't dead. That's when he got the knife out and did things to her throat. Well, Jacob was arraigned on Monday evening on first, second, and third degree murder charges, aggravated assault, robbery, strangulation, theft, and possession of an instrument of crime, according to court's documents, and he is being held without bail. Whew. At least somewhere, someone got it right and said no bail. Otherwise, he could be out doing some more heroin, ladies and gentlemen. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. I'm telling you, you just can't make this stuff up. And maybe if I sound a little sarcastic, maybe it was my call earlier in the day, but anyway, whatever. So police responded to a 911 call about a suspicious person in the Vero Beach area in Florida. There they found 30-year-old Eric Bennett. He appeared to be visibly intoxicated and perhaps on an unknown substance. When officers asked what was bulging out of his pocket of his shorts or if he had any weapons on him, Bennett said, "I have some needles for fishing." He then removed a plastic bag with syringes inside from his pocket and placed the works on the hood of the squad car. He also handed over a pack of cigarettes containing a baggie with fentanyl in it. He was arrested on felony narcotic charges and is being held in the county jail on $7,500 in bond. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, our dumb criminal of the day. Wow, you can't make this stuff up, but this happens every day in just about every city across America. But hopefully we can all get a little tongue-in-cheek laugh out of their troubles. And frankly, I think they would laugh about it too. Someday, this gentleman is going to laugh about his troubles as well. All right, that's all we have for you today. I want to thank everybody for joining us last night for our Tuesday night after dark, as well as all of our Patreon members. Always appreciate everything that you do. It was a great conversation. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.